What's up, friends? Welcome to Maybe You're Like Me. I am so happy you're joining us today. Today's a really special episode because it's our birthday anniversary. I don't know what the correct terminology is, but this is the 1 year since we started this whole thing. So about 2 years ago, I had this dumb idea to write a book, and it kind of just kept morphing its way into something that became this podcast. And I've got to talk to a bunch of people. And so I thought today, on the 1 year anniversary birth anniversary of the podcast, I thought I would take it back to the beginning and talk to the people that actually kind of helped me start this whole thing off. And so right now I'm talking to Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. It's summertime in New York City. Like, I'm amazing. I'm awesome right now.
That is, I'm jealous so much right now.
You should be.
Outside, I'm going to just quick check. It is in the mid 90s right now. And it's untenable. Yeah. No one likes that.
I mean, it's pretty gross up here too. So,
but you're there. So that makes it all better. And you got
Mike.
And you got Shake Shack. Okay. So.
Yo, we do have Shake Shack.
So I've been thinking a lot recently about just like what's happened this whole last year with the podcast. And then that's led me to like memory lane. And do you remember us recording? You were the very first person to ever record an episode of the podcast. Do you have any memories from that day?
I remember us both wearing New Balance, and we were like, "Oh, you got New Balance!" So that was real fun. But I also remember like when we got done recording, I was like, "Oh, that just felt like me and Mike talking in the lobby at church." Like I thought it would feel like really weird, or that like I'd have to put on in a really weird way. But like I was like, "Oh, like I could do this all night if you want to." Like this is just really really fun. So yeah, I just remember
we had a good time.
Like it was so good. And when we wrapped, I was like, oh, this like Mike is on to something. Like this is really, really good. So yeah,
thanks,
good
man.
memories.
The thing I remember, so you were like number one. And so I was racking my brains trying to figure out like, what do I do with this whole thing? Like I'd listen to a lot of podcasts. I have friends that I talk on stage sometimes, and I do different segments, and like, I'm okay with being in front of people, but this was just something brand new. And so I was racking my brains, and I remember about 15 minutes before we started, I was like, on podcasts or on TV shows, there's always a coffee mug with water in it. And so I went out and I went to Big Lots and I bought some coffee mugs and put water in it. And I was thinking like, this has to be professional. Like this needs to be the real deal, the best thing ever. And so I went out and I bought fruit. Do you remember that? Like I had like a craft service station. I was like, yeah, we're going to, yeah. And for the record, you are the only person to ever get a fruit tray as part of your thing. Yeah. So
I love that.
I was just, I think I wrote you like a handwritten note, and I was like, thank you, Greg.
I still have that note. Note. That was the sweetest thing.
But I've been thinking about it, and for you guys to take the leap and believe in me and trust in me to do something and to interview you. Like, I don't know. For me, it's who is this guy? Who's me to be interviewing cool people like you? But you made it so easy and so much fun. And I couldn't have asked for better opening guests than people like you, Greg. You're the man.
No, dude. Honestly, like when you asked, it made so much sense. Like, one of my favorite parts about like, or one of my like favorite pastimes about like going to church when we lived in Florida was like whenever you were on the mic. And like, obviously like, Access Church is a great church, but like, I just love that it was like, oh my God, Mike is going to say something and we're going to laugh. Like something funny is going to happen today. And so like when you started sharing your ideas about doing this, I'm like, no, it's like one of those things that immediately made sense. So I'm glad that I'm like in the history books of, your podcast. So thank you.
Oh man. So, okay. So we're at this 1 year anniversary birthday thing. And
Crazy.
So I want to know, like, we're catching up here. So like, take us to the last year. What's been going on with you in the last year?
Well, first of all, the fact that it's even been a year is completely wild to me. But
bonkers.
Mike, so much has happened. And like, I'm going to say some of these things because like we're on camera and people are going to see this. But some of these things you already know, right? So like, that like me and my family are back up in New York. My twins that were like little babies when we shot this are now like dunking on hoops and like beating me up. But one really cool thing that has happened is I'm a school teacher now, which
That's awesome.
It's wild. Like, I feel like my life is a deck of cards. It's like, what's Greg going to do this year? And so the last time we spoke, I was just celebrating like this awesome writing position that I took. And then just a few weeks, or, maybe a few months after that, we made the decision to move our family up to New York City. And so I couldn't take that role with me. And so like, I wasn't really concerned or worried about like what I do next. I was a little bit concerned about how to break it to Lib. Like, okay, so I want to do something else. And,
oh man.
And Lib gave me a talk. She's like, I love you, but you got to figure this thing out. I'm like, no, this is the thing, I promise. So check this out, right? I'm like, hey, I want to teach. Like, I love writing. I think I want to teach, right? And so I get into subbing, and I'm substitute teaching at this school in the Bronx. And within a matter of a week, they're like, we want you on full time, teach our kids. And I'm like, I have a degree in psychology and was just a writer. So what exactly do you want me to do? And now I'm teaching middle school English language arts and creative writing. So it's just like, what? How does that happen in a year? Like, just absolutely nuts. But I love it.
That's such a big turn, man.
It's huge.
It's so cool to hear that you've like made such a big life change. And not only have you made it that big life change, but you're still the same and awesome Greg. But now you get to kind of shape the lives and the futures of a bunch of kids in your neighborhood. And that's awesome, man.
Dude.
Bump, thanks for being here. How are you doing, man?
Great. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary. Whatever holiday we're going to choose to celebrate it.
Yeah, I've been thinking all day, what is this called? Is it an anniversary? Is it a birthday? Is it an anniversary? I don't know.
Birthday because you created it, and this is the first year.
So I birthed it into the world a year ago.
Happy birthday, podcast.
Oh, man. So yeah, happy birthday to the old Pottycasty. But it's so fun that you're here doing this. And so for those of people that listened before, how have you been? How's your last year been, Bump?
I've had a crazy year.
Yeah, hit me with it.
So the first thing I think after we talked was Hurricane Ian took our roof off our house.
That was nuts.
And then all the rain from Hurricane Ian came in our house. And then you showed up to help us clean it all up. So it's just a major accident with some blessings happening. And then I had a transition in my life. I got a new career where I'm working as a creative manager at One More Child. They help out with foster care, adoption, and sex trafficking and child hunger. So I get to help, make stuff for them, still create. And they also let me do my freelance on the side. So it's just kind of I'm a 9-to-5 guy all of a sudden. So
look at you.
Little Dolly Parton going on.
You're so corporate now. You got a collared shirt on and everything.
I have to wear a collared shirt every day to work, which is, different, but hey, Salvation Army's down the road. We got some cool band shirts from them, and
well, you look handsome. Just look at you. But that even with like, if you're corporate now, the corporate version of you is still cooler than I'll ever be, and it hurts my feelings every time that we hang out.
Thank you. There's no extra thought into it for my end, but
well, you look handsome. That's all there is to it.
Thank you.
All right, so you know the drill. You've been here before. You were one of the chosen few. We're in the 30s of episodes now, but you're one of a small group of people that know what it's like to be on that side of the chair.
When you were a toddler as a podcast, I was there.
Not even a toddler. But all right, so just for fun, what do you remember about last year being on the podcast? Do you remember anything?
We had quite a few connections. There was a few like Bigfoot stories I threw in there on you, and some paranormal stuff. But it was a great, very fun, relaxing, probably one of the funnest podcasts I got to be on. So when you asked me to come back, I was like, yes. There was no hesitation. There was no thought process, no check and count. It was just yes. And then win.
That's awesome. I remember. So I've been kind of racking my brain thinking back to a year ago. We said, you said yes, which was like the biggest hurdle off the top of the whole thing was just asking people. I'm like this. There is absolutely nobody that's going to listen to this podcast. So how am I going to get any good guest? And so the fact that you guys said yes out of nowhere was huge for me in the first place. So thank you for that.
I don't think I bet people are listening. I'm pretty sure you got a great, because I see it getting shared on social media and everything. And I listen to it because I imagine most people like me, you're just going through stuff on your exercise or in life and you need something else to add to it. And, from my legal podcast to my science and UFO and aliens to my comedians, and then yours, which is just happiness, got the whole entree of everything I get to listen to. So it's always on my list.
Well, the thing that makes me I'm the most honored by it is you said yes before there was anything. And so just based on our friendship alone, and even though like we've only bumped paths or like we've we've bumped into each other for years, but we had never really had a sit down conversation.
Yeah.
So that was our first sit down conversation.
That's fun though. I like getting to know people, and I can talk too much sometimes. So it's kind of fun to banter, have these conversations. So yeah, man, always.
But yeah, so the first 3 guests, you guys were just so generous with your time and your wanting to even be a part of it. And I'm so grateful for you guys.
Well, how are you feeling? I mean, this is your thing. You're at the year mark. So it's like, the big changes, we keep it going. I mean, it's.
I'm constantly trying to reimagine it, and I've done a bad job. The podcast is more or less the exact same as when we started it. I feel like I've gotten a little better at it, and I've tried to maybe tweak a few things here and there. I'm always thinking like, I'm going to run out of this or that style questions at some point for that last round. I'm like, I got to figure out something else to do.
It's like back in the, like the 80s and 70s when the TV show had just past its peak, they would add like the redheaded cousin or something, or they bring in just a random, just hopefully new life, which we all knew that's the jump in the shark moment. It's about to go down, but so you don't need to add any extra stuff like that. I mean, I've loved the format and everything. So
the thing that people just want me to keep doing over and over, and at some point I just need to make its own podcast, is just have Katrina on with me all the time. That's what people love the most. That's what I love the most. She's the best.
That's awesome. I'm glad you got your wife on yours.
Me too.
Mary's like, nope.
When I told my little brother, who was helping me launch this whole thing, he was like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to bring Kat on like every 10 episodes or so. And he's like, oh man, that's like the death nail for podcasts. I was like, no way. No. He's like, yeah, like when people like run out of energy or run out of steam, they bring their wife on and they're like stuck with that. But those podcasts have been the best episodes because she's the best. You're missing out if you don't watch it on YouTube too, because sometimes she'll just pull something out of left field or left or right field, whichever the bad field is. And I'm just perplexed for a second as to where I should go next. Like the whole thing with the old potty casty.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, she was just tired and being crazy. But
well, the way you said, I was just my mind went to Mary Poppins and pulling stuff out of her bag.
Seriously, yeah, her mind is a wonderful place. So is mine. But like when she's tired, especially, things get crazy. Yeah. So
that's awesome. I'm gled she can come on.
Do you remember a year ago being in the seat you're in right now?
Yeah, so fun. When you asked if we would come back for like the 1 year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you like, wow, that feels like such a long time ago, but also that was just a year ago. Like I feel like so much has happened, and I don't know, it's just crazy to think that it's already been a year.
Well, the thing that's crazy too is like you say, like it feels like it was yesterday, but it also feels like forever ago. You've had a lot of like life happen in the last year. What's been going on? What's your last year been like?
Yeah, so I was trying to look back and think back too, and within the last year, we added a new addition to our family.
Yeah,
we had a
you
new
did.
baby. I also was thinking back within last year, this past Christmas, we took a big trip overseas with, all 3 of our kids at that point. And that was kind of big for us. We got settled into a new home. So like, yeah, this last year has been pretty busy for us.
You guys have been rocking and rolling.
Yep,
It's crazy. I was thinking back about, we were talking about it a second ago, like when you recorded the first time, I think I told you this the other day too. That day was bonkers for me.
Yeah, which I don't even remember. You managed to, go through it very smoothly. So kudos to you.
Here's the deal. In general, every time that I've recorded the podcast, there's a little level of fear, and that's okay. It's like, is this going to go okay? Yes. Is this person going to throw up? Am I going to throw up? What's going to happen? So far, no one's thrown up that I know of.
That's good.
And that's okay.
During the podcast, at least.
Yeah. They may have thrown up in their lifetime. Right. I have. But so we did that. We had scheduled the podcast, and it turned out that for my job, I had to have a big travel day. So I got up early that morning,
that day,
rented a U-Haul, and drove down 3 hours to West Palm Beach area.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, bought something off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or something, and it was a big lift that, and like there was problems with the money, and it was like this super stressful day.
That's insane.
And I remember flooring the U-Haul all the way back, and by flooring the U-Haul, I was driving at the speed of 65 miles an hour on the turnpike and on Highway 60, and just like praying that I made it back in time. So I get back, I return the U-Haul. And I get back here with like 15 minutes to spare.
That's insane.
And I changed and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And I just remember being so flustered. I think you may win the award for the most flustered version
That's
of me.
so crazy, really.
Yeah. So like add like all the normal nerves and then the fact that it was ridiculous.
Well, again, I don't remember you telling me that a year ago. If you did, I don't remember that happening, and I could not have told. So you did amazing.
We made it through somehow.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, that was last year. You've had a crazy year. It's fun it's just fun having you back. I see you most every week at church and around and stuff, but it's fun kind of getting to hang out like this again.
Yeah.
And the thing that's kind of fun too is I didn't know you outside of, I had seen that you were online and you had kind of like influencer vibes going on.
Like met maybe 2 seconds before like the
and
we recorded.
Yeah. Then like that whole like, oh man, is she going to be cool or is this going to be the worst? And so
that was a risk. Yeah.
I'm a risk taker. I'm a risky kind of guy. And so that was our first like real actual conversation.
It was.
And you turned it on. You were great. I'm so grateful and thankful that you came on the show.
I'm just thankful. And yeah, I thought the questions were awesome. So I thought I was thankful.
You know how the podcast goes. You're one of like the lucky 30 people that like know what it's like to be in your seat right now. You were the very first person in your seat. But you remember the first date round. I do. Instead of asking you a different question or whatever, I thought it'd be fun to go back to those first episodes and ask you a question from those first episodes, but not from your episode, because I don't want you telling me about your crush on Roxanne from a Goofy movie again.
Oh my God.
People don't want that. That's unnecessary right now. All right. But here's a question that I asked Paola. She was on the third episode. And so I'm going to ask you it now. Okay. So say you found a genie and they granted you the ability to have infinity of one thing. Like if you ever need it, reach your hand in your pocket or whatever it is, you always have whatever you need. If it's bigger than your pocket, then it's just always at your disposal.
The rules don't apply.
You get one thing.
All right. I immediately know the answer to this. And some people are going to be really disappointed. Guacamole.
What?
Let me tell you why. So I like growing up, I loved guacamole. It just was like the best snack ever. And then when I turned like 20 or 21, I just was allergic to it. Like could not have it, became like top 2, like deadly allergy. Like I could not have it, like throat closed up, cannot breathe, like terrible. And so when I got married, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have some avocado. Cause that was the allergy. Like I couldn't have avocado. And I just like pop like 3 Benadryl and eat avocado. And like, obviously because our wives are smart and we're not, my wife was like, don't do that. Like just live a life without avocado. And so the short of it is, right, this new teacher life, I'm up late nights, like lesson planning or grading. And so like, I just like DoorDash food. So I would DoorDash from this Mexican place. And I didn't know that for weeks I'd been eating Mexican food that had like avocado mixed in with like the ingredients on the taco. And I didn't realize it until like the 30th time that I'd ordered it. And I'm like, babe, I've been eating avocado for like 2 months now. And then it hit me. And Mike, I've been eating like this size tubs of guacamole every day for lunch, just like straight like chip guac, but like the chip's breaking because I'm loading up. So my answer is an infinite amount of guacamole because I'm back. Your boy is back. Avocado's good again. It's a good
that
life,
is
Mike.
the very definition of absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's incredible. All right, so let's just go down this road for just 1 second. What is the dream guacamole? What's the ingredient list there?
So what I noticed is like good guacamole has a good amount of red onion in it. And a lot of people sleep on that because they think if you just hit it with lime, that's all the tang you need. You need the crunch and like the pizzazz of that red onion. You know what? I feel the judgment happening right now.
It's not the judgment. I'm just currently like, I feel bad for Lib because she's got to kiss you after you get all that red onion, man. God bless her. That is true.
And I could have wished for an infinite amount of like flights or groceries and I wasted it on guacamole. I stand by what I
don't know if that's a waste. I'm proud of you. Good job.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that's, you do you. And honestly, the avocado prices, they're always high. So you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And boomers always blame millennials on eating too much avocado toast. to buy anything. So you've basically solved your own problem. You're going to be the richest man in the world.
Saving money. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go. I like the way you think, Mike.
We basically just solved the world hunger crisis
Yeah, we
and
did.
the financial market, the whole thing, just by you having the worst superpower ever.
You're welcome, world. You're welcome. Anything I can do, Mike.
All right. So something I thought I'd do for this first round, the first date round, is instead of doing the normal thing where I ask you a first date style question, I thought it'd be fun to revisit some of the first questions we did on the podcast, the first date questions. But I'm going to ask you a question from Greg's episode.
Okay, nice.
So in Greg's episode, we had a lot of fun. And one of my favorite things was we talked about our first celebrity crushes.
Yeah.
Do you have any celebrity crushes that you remember that you...
I do. I don't know if it's as big a celebrity as some others, but it was Dolores of the Cranberries. She was, she's, rocking out to a great band.
Yeah.
And, they would have their pretty songs, but also they had some heavy songs.
Mhm.
And I was raised in a very sheltered home. So there wasn't really opportunities to find, other than like salty or, it's always like my parents kept it very sheltered and safe there. But
if you weren't a Christian in the late 80s or early 90s, what he just mentioned, it is genuinely a man in a hymnal book costume singing songs, and his face is painted blue and he's got a blue afro.
you think of all the things to come up with, we'll put a guy in a book. But yeah, Dolores, I mean, I just, it was just some, you don't see many women singers like that. And,
Yeah.
She had the short spiky hair and she's like hitting the guitar, especially on Zombie, you're just like, oh my goodness. And so, yeah, she was like kind of my first, celebrity crush. And then a band I love, MXPX, actually wrote a song about her.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, all right, there's other people who,
You didn't feel alone in your crush for Dolores.
Yeah. Right.
Now, I'd like to do a little bit of revisionist history for mine.
Yeah.
When we originally did this question, I talked a lot about the Pink Power Ranger, but I've been thinking about it, and like the girl that was really like, oh my gosh, that is, I want to figure out what love is.
Yeah.
I think for me, it probably was Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
My goodness, Zach Morris, he just had it all and let it slip through his fingers.
You get me like, why are you blowing it with her? But that's Zach. I got his big phone and got to, be the cool guy with his hair, but that's how he's gonna roll. So that was yours, Kelly?
Oh yeah, Kelly. And then, honestly, any girl that was supposed to be the love interest on TV, I was always a sucker for it. I was like, yep, I'm in love with you. And yeah, at least your answer, Greg said his answer was Roxanne from the Goofy movie, the girl dog.
Yep.
Which is just a little weird. And we've been praying for him and thinking about him ever since. But
I'll tell you the weirdest one real quick. I don't know if you ever remember this show. This is a deep dive, but Small Wonders, where the dad built a robot girl that was supposed to serve in the house, but ended up becoming their daughter. But she would talk like this the whole time. And it was just like this robot girl that lived in the closet.
So that was another one for you?
No, that was not one for you. That was kind of opposite effect. That was kind of like, whoa, that's kind of a little scary.
Is that when the obsession with robots and UFOs started there for you?
No.
A little. That's a little bit.
Maybe robots, but.
Oh man, is that why you were so scared of the Jetsons?
Oh man, no, the Jetsons. The Jetsons are the bomb, man.
They were great.
I dream of how do we not have some of those things right now? Do you ever do on Spaceship Earth at Disney, at the very end, you kind of build your own world and it kind of feels like you're making your own Jetson episode.
Yeah.
And I do love that. That's one of my favorites.
I miss the old thing where it was like, these things are going to be in the future, but they were things we already had.
Right.
It's like one day we're going to have moving pictures. And it's like, we've got TV and movies.
And treadmills, yeah.
One day you're going to be able to ride in an automobile. And it's like, wait a minute. I think we've already figured this one out.
We've got one of those.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they've updated it now and it's way less fun.
Yeah.
I really do remember being blown away by they're like, in the future, you're going to be able to have a video call. And they had like an old VHS camcorder on top of one of those big tube TVs.
Yeah.
And you could see them talking to each other through it. And I was like, that's never going to happen.
Not going to happen. And now
and the Dick Tracy watch.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Dick Tracy had a lot of daydreams going on in my head because I'm like, man, if I had some of that stuff, that was pretty cool. I forgot to fight some of those villains. Not that I fight or chase villains anyway, but
you could have.
But
if you had that
yellow
watch.
trench coat and that watch, yeah, you'd be ready for it.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I believe it was from Bump's episode.
Okay.
But if you could be a contestant on any game show,
Yeah.
any game show, what game show are you going to be on? What's your thought there?
So I had to kind of Google game shows
Oh
to
no.
kind of see. But I was reminded that I actually, for some strange reason, really enjoy Family Feud.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
I don't know if Bub maybe said that, but or if other people have said that one. But when my husband Chris and I were engaged our
Okay.
last semester of college, he was living off campus with a professor.
Okay.
And whenever I came over to hang out, have dinner, we would
Mhm.
sit in the TV, and that's what the three of us would watch together was Family Feud. And I don't know, it's not like a skills type of
Sure.
game. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to just guess. It's just kind of a guessing game at some point. And I love the family dynamic. I think it's hilarious how they hype each other up.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's my answer, Family Feud.
Okay, so let's play this game then.
Okay.
Of the people, you can shout out your friends or your family. Who are
Okay.
you bringing on the show with you?
Oh,
if you
my
get to be
gosh.
that, I think you get 4 other people, 3 or 4 other people.
Three
so.
or four. Okay. Oh, that's so hard. I have such a big family. For Family Feud. Let's see. Well, recently we had Chris has my brother-in-law. My husband has 2 sisters and
Okay.
their husbands. And the 6 of us really get along pretty well. We're very
Okay.
different people.
Mhm,
We do
mhm.
things very differently. But it's crazy how we just managed to kind of do things and,
Uh-huh.
and get along really well. And we do an annual weekend together. This is
That's
getting
fun.
very long, but we recently got together, and I think that would be fun to do, like the 6 of us on
Yeah.
Family Feud. I think that would be fun.
Now, there's always like you've got like it seems like people bring on like 4 really good people, and then there's one. It's like we had to bring on
Oh,
one
gosh.
person, and for my family, there'd probably be me. I'd be
I was just gonna say that would be me. I think if that was what you were gonna ask me, because English is my second language. I
Sure.
always I have to pull that card out whenever I can. So I would probably be the weak link. I would.
You would not be Winkley. You'd be fantastic. I love, yeah.
I'd swing it.
I think a year ago I said that I would want to go on The Amazing Race.
That's a great one.
Now
I didn't think of that one.
I love that show. Like I'm going to go ahead and count reality shows. It's my
Okay.
podcast. I can do
See,
what I want.
wasn't sure. I was like, reality? No, that's a reality. But yeah.
Were you going to try to do The Bachelorette? I see you. Wow. Or
I was
Love
gonna
Island.
Make a joke. I was gonna make a joke and be like, "Yep, The Bachelor." Anyways, The Amazing Race. That just reminded me. They do one episode, and I don't know which year, but where they go to Paraguay, South
Mhm.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be fun if I got to.
You'd have a home court advantage.
That's right. But yeah, I would be bad at that show though. I'm not that quick or anything. But that would be a really fun one. I know you like to travel, and
Yeah,
that
it would be
good for you.
fun, except for, and hear me out. I just got back from a long trip. Our church, we did a trip to Kenya.
Right.
And so we just did, it was in grand total 30 hours each way of travel.
Woo-hoo.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
So much. And by the end of it, my back was so sore
Oh yes.
from like sitting on planes for so long.
Yep.
And I can't imagine that show. You're in a spot for a day or two, and then you're flying halfway across the world.
That's
I
what I'm
cannot
telling you.
imagine
Yeah.
my massage bills that I would have after that, like
Yes, dude.
chiropractor,
Yep.
the whole 9.
I
Ugh.
don't know that I have the stamina for The Amazing Race, but it is a great show. It is a great game
Absolutely.
show. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if I have the sitting stamina either, but that is my dream show to get on.
that would be awesome.
But I've just got a new context. Maybe I'm getting older and I can't sit that long. Got to
In
do
their
that
next
chair
life.
yoga.
Right.
All right. So in the next round, the slow round, I thought it'd be fun to maybe talk to the people on the show and just ask them all the same question. And so we're in the heat of summer right now. It
Yes.
feels like we are on the sun.
Yes.
It feels like
So
it's
hot.
just so hot.
So hot.
But summertime's a fun time.
Mhm.
You got family time. And
Yeah.
so I don't know what summertime was like for you growing
Yeah.
up, but what's your favorite summer memory? What is something that just reminds you of summer or
Yeah.
makes you feel great in summer?
I stinking love summer. Like
Okay.
I know this heat, I mean, it gets to me sometimes, but I could do this heat all year long
Mhm.
versus having fall or summer or winter at some point. I love the summer. That's my season. But as far as summer from my childhood, here's a fun geography fact for you.
Ooh.
I was born and raised in Paraguay, like
Mhm.
we mentioned, and Paraguay is landlocked. If you didn't know, it's
Okay,
100% landlocked. So for our summers, the closest beach for us growing up would be Brazil.
Okay.
So I actually grew up going to the beaches of Brazil
Oh man.
for my summers, and we would take like a 1 to 2 day road trip out to the beach and stay there for 4 or 5, 6 days, and then head back home, and that would be like our vacation for the summer. And oh
That's a
gosh, it's
pretty good
so
situation.
fun! It's so fun. Yeah, I mean we're right there, so it's more
Yeah.
convenient for us. And yeah, I would love to take my family because every time I go back to South America, it's to go back to Paraguay and see family and whatnot.
Yeah.
But one of these days, I'd love to take him back and just go, to Brazil and get to show him kind of where I spent my actual summers, at the beaches in Brazil.
That's
So
awesome. Are
yeah,
are you a beach person in general?
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I grew up in a landlocked country,
Uh-huh.
loving summers, loving the beach.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now I live in Florida, literally living my dream of pretty much summer all year long
Yeah.
and beaches anywhere you turn.
Hmm.
So yes, I love everything about summer and beaches and everything. So
Now, I'm just putting this together. The Paraguay, Southern Hemisphere.
yes.
So you guys have hot Christmas.
That's right.
How was
That's
hot
right.
Christmas
So
in
another fun geography fact. Yeah. So our seasons are switched.
Mhm.
So it's currently winter there now for
Yep.
us during the summer. And for during summer in Paraguay is when we spend Christmas time. So yes, I've always grew up with a hot Christmas. There's no, snow or anything like the picture perfect American
Yeah.
Christmas for
Mhm.
me was, in the snow.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's completely different for us. Another fun fact, we do fireworks at Christmas during the summertime too.
Okay.
So for me, I guess I like, think of summer fireworks, 4th of July
Yeah.
and things like that. So I just love the summertime in that sense. And, when it doesn't get to be snowing here during our Christmas time in Florida, I'm like, fantastic. It's just like my Christmas back home. Amazing.
I asked, it's been a couple episodes ago, but we talked to a guy named Max in Australia.
Okay,
And I was
yeah.
like, what's it like having hot Christmas?
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I was like, oh, we have hot Christmas
Right,
too.
exactly. Again, so when people are like, "Oh, it doesn't feel like Christmas because it's not cold and it's not snowing," I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. It feels like Christmas to me. This is amazing."
Instead
So,
of snowmen,
yeah.
you make sandmen.
That's right.
There you
At
go.
the
That's
beach.
awesome.
100%. Yep.
We're in the heat of summer right now. We joked about it earlier. It's 4 million degrees down here right now. It's not cold up in New York City either right now. But are you a summertime fan?
In theory, I'm a summertime fan until summertime gets here, and I'm like, why is it so hot?
I feel you. But so think back to childhood. Think back through your life. What is a great summertime memory? It could even be present. But what is summertime? What's a great memory that makes you just feel all warm and cozy thinking about summer?
Yeah, that's an easy one too. Because I still see it going on, and like I love it when I see it in New York City in particular. But like growing up, there always was someone's like dad or uncle who had like a wrench the size of your torso to open up the Johnny pumps, and just like everyone in the neighborhood would come out, and it didn't matter if you had on jeans and a button-up shirt, like you jumped in that water. It probably was terrible for our immune system, but like it didn't matter. Anything from just like drinking that water to like spraying cars that were coming by, or like, this is terrible. But if somebody looked like they were like on their way to some like important business meeting, like we'd spray that person. Terrible. It's terrible when you think about it now. But when I'm driving now with Lib and the kids through the city, I see that like people still open the Johnny pumps, and like they got like blow up pools out there, and kids still use the can trick. What you do is you take a can opener and open it on both sides, and you'd get it right around the Johnny pump hole, and it would like act as like this makeshift just like hose that you could spray anywhere. And I'm just like, oh wow, like kids still do that. And like I'm super aware that it didn't start with my generation either, but it kind of feels like it's this never ending thing that like summertime means the Johnny pumps open and people are spraying cars and people. So yeah.
That's cool. That's one of the things that as a basically native Floridian, that I only imagine that happens in movies or like on TV shows, but that actually happens. That's
it
so
actually
fun.
happens, man. It's like, it's the number one sign, like that and the ice cream truck. It's like, oh yeah, summer's here. Like it's time.
My only summer New York memory is it's been a decade ago. I went up to New York it was July 4th week, and I went and I saw the hot dog eating competition on Coney Island. And
oh yeah, we talked about this.
It was during a random heat wave, and it genuinely was in the 90s. And then like I'm smushing between like these crazy sweaty people. And I love Joey Chestnut, and I'm happy that he won that year probably, but that's
But
not a
you had to
memory I want
watch
to
it
relive.
in real time. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, that much hot dog in that heat is just, no one wants that.
No one should ever have to go through that. Lord have mercy.
And I'm excited to hear your stories behind here. But we are in the heat of summer right now. We're getting close to school being back in session, but right now it is just hot and it's summer and it's beach time.
Yes.
But do you have a favorite summertime memory from growing up or even currently? Like what's a great summertime thought for you?
Well, there's two, because back to being raised in a very sheltered home. My dad worked he was a pastor, but he also worked for a Christian radio station. They only played hymnals and preaching.
Okay.
And we couldn't listen to anything else. And, it was just,
oh man,
we had to keep it in that. But when I was a kid, they used to just take me to my grandparents' house who lived in Savannah. They lived on the creek, and they would just leave us there for a week, and we would just go fishing or drive around my granddad's El Camino, which was pretty awesome. Had a big griffin on the hood, white and blue. But my true memory is just, again, my folks would send me away to summer camp every year.
Yeah.
And I think because I started to realize there's a world outside of our bubble, and I started exploring and getting into things. And so they're like, you know what, instead of a week, how about we just send you there to be on staff and you just stay there the whole summer. So from my middle school to my college years, I would always go to the same summer camp. And that was always my favorite thing to do, because you get paid like $50 a week.
Yeah.
Doing dishes or landscaping or all this crazy stuff. And
when you're in middle school, that's living, man.
It's awesome. I mean, I got to buy whatever I want, hang out with my friends. And if we weren't working, we're out skateboarding or going on different adventures. They would always take us to a different theme park every year. And so it's fun to go in a big group of people like that. And summer camp was my jam. And so like, I really want my kids to start, like Emerson's going, trying to get Finn to start getting into that. But it's just, I always remember those for some reason. I just met some of my closest friends and still in talk with them today. And just, I feel like some big life moments happened during that.
That's really cool.
Got to meet some sheriffs, because usually when you go to a camp, usually if you're working there, they always have that first week where it's just the, what do they call it? Where they introduce you to everybody and teach you all the rules and things like that. I can't remember the term it is, but you kind of gets everybody to know each other, do all these icebreakers. And so me and my buddies, we all got our cars and we got just filled up full of people. I'm like, hey, we like to go to this Catholic church down the road across the street from Twisty Treat.
Okay.
And we go up on the roof and you can see for miles, because Florida's flat. And always during the summer, there's always these thunder and lightning storms. So we just sit up there and hang out and talk. Well, the one time we went back, we had a huge crew, and we took this bicycle rack, turned it on its side, and climbed up on it. And the roof was shaped like a dome. It was like almost like a bowl upside down with a big steeple in the middle. And we were up there chilling for a few hours, and all of a sudden we see these headlights out in the parking lot coming really close. And we're like, we got to get out of here. So like the Goonies were all piling off the roof, running, and everybody gets in their car. And my car is the last car. And I'm like, well, I don't know if this is a cop or security guard, but I'm going to turn my lights off, because, the light shine on the license plate. And we're hauling out of there. And sure enough, the next day at camp, these sheriff officers show up to meet me.
Oh, no.
Like, crap. And I guess it was the priest at the church, and he got my license plate. Didn't get anybody else's. And so he somehow gave it to them. And my parents, I guess, talked to him like, yeah, he's at this camp. Why do and so came down to it. He didn't want to press charge or anything. He just wanted me to apologize.
Oh, that's cool. At least.
Because like, we weren't breaking anything. We just told him the story. But when I called to apologize to the priest, the nuns answered like, oh, he's on vacation to like, Sicily or something like that.
Good for
him. So I never had to apologize. But anyway, that was when I...
Would you like to go ahead and make a public apology now to make up for it?
I'm sorry that I stressed him out, but I'm not sorry for doing it. It was a lot of fun. I do it again. It was an awesome, just a memory I have, but it's just so funny. Like, you never think like, I'm going to get chased by a priest and then have the sheriffs come visit me. And then the funniest is they're like, can you give us a list of everybody that was with you? And I'm not a narc.
Yeah.
I don't rat anybody out. Sorry. It's just not happening. So I just like, you know what? This is our first week at camp. I didn't know anybody's name. I call everybody dude or hey, it's just...
Good on you.
And so nobody's name got dropped. I'm like, I think there was a Sally, just made up names, but I wasn't going to.
All right. So lessons I've learned here is number one, if you're going to commit a crime, commit it with bump.
Yes, true.
That sounds fantastic. Number two, the Florida's flat. So get on some roofs.
Yes. You can see so far.
That's awesome.
Anyway. So, well, that's a big, how about you? Do you have a big,
man? So actually when I was listening to you, I was thinking about some like camp memories and stuff, but I also remembered this is back to like TV crush stuff.
Yeah.
I never went to like a full summer camp like you were talking about, what I did is I went to like a week long camp, and that was cool for what it was. But there was a TV show, I think it was about kids who were in a summer long camp.
Okay, yeah.
And it was about like the games they would play and the adventures they go on. But it was also about like their middle school like love lives.
Yeah.
And I remember being in like early high school, middle school, being like, I should go to camp and I'm going to fall in love.
Yep.
Didn't you actually pull that off somehow? Didn't you meet Mary at a camp?
I met Mary at camp, but you always meet that person, and almost all of them are a long distance. So it's not going to work out. Even, my daughter had a little experience too. We're like, it's not going to work out. Just text the guy. But, but yeah, Mary actually, she did live long distance, and I was so captivated. I quit my job and I packed everything up and I moved to Jacksonville, got me a really cheap apartment. I had no furniture. I was sleeping on the floor for a few weeks.
Oh man.
Her parents gave me like all their like lawn patio furniture to use. So if you came in the house, it was like white plastic table and chairs. But yeah, it was summer camp where we met. I don't know if I told the story, but we both had the same friends, but we didn't know each other. And everybody's like trying to get us to connect. And when I finally found out she was on the property, since I had been there for a few years off and on, I had my own little golf cart.
Yeah.
It was green with a tan roof.
Oh yeah.
I came up and I was pretty good at my little power slide braking, the little, Tokyo drift with it. So I'm like, what's up? I'm Bump. And she's like, I'm Mary. And then, we've been together ever since.
And you just proposed right then and there. Is that?
No. But I tell you what, since you mentioned that, when I did want to propose, I got lost.
No.
I couldn't figure out how to get to the place I wanted to propose to her. And I was stressed. And then she, by that point, knew what was happening.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to call. I had my first cell phone.
Oh yeah.
I'm in my mid 20s, late 20s, just now getting a Nokia.
Those things were bricks, man. They lasted though.
But yeah, I dropped mine in a mower. Sorry, I'm going to tell you a million stories. But anyway, yeah.
I'll listen all day long. And that's why you have always just been such a good guest. So the question we ask everybody on the podcast, and I decided to switch it up a little bit. Normally I ask you what you're learning right now, but you've had a whole year of growth and life and everything. But what's something you've learned this last year? What's something you're learning this year?
Well, for us, for a family, like I talked earlier about the hurricane, I felt like this year, and probably a portion of our life, and I'm not trying to be like poor me or anything, but I feel like we've had everything thrown at us, including the kitchen sink. I mean, I just feel like it's always one thing after another, but I also look at it as we tend to make it through it. And me and my wife were talking about it. It feels like we're almost at our breaking point, what's in, or last penny, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But then, for me in my faith, God just seems to come in at that moment. And every time I'm like kicking myself, I'm like, why did I doubt? Why did I get upset? And I just, for some reason, this is an image I have. Is probably not the most theological or fact, but I felt like God has been like my Samwise Gamgee for this. Because I've been re-listening or reading the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And you realize, like in the book compared to the movie, like Sam's there the whole way.
Yeah.
Literally carrying Frodo a bulk of the time. And always like, what I can do to help. And it's kind of like the Lord's always there for us. And so that's been our thing. It's just like, as hard and dark as it's been, or things going over, it's just like, he still got us. And
yeah.
And so we've pulled through everything, you know, and it's, we still have our valleys and things like that, but that's just been our thing. It's just, for me, especially, it's just like, all right, I just need to take a second from, stressing, which can happen. And then also from, I usually only vent to Mary. She's my only sounding board to hear some of these things. Cause I don't feel like my social media is the place to broadcast that, like some people. That's fine if you're open like that. I'm not as transparent on that end. But I just feel like through all the things we've been through, just our community has come in at certain points and been helpful, and just the Lord's been coming in there. And so, it just feels like, God's been our Samwise Gamgee.
It's that famous Psalm 23, the Lord is my Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah,
I shall not want.
That's second Psalms, right? But it's I feel like for me, I like to create visuals and things, and that's been standing out. But we're still here. We're still surviving. We're still trucking, and I still love life and everything that's going on. But I just learned it's just, instead of just blaming others and this and that, just, all right, we're going to get through it some way or another. And there's obviously going to be a lesson at the end of this too. But I'm just, thankful that I get to be here today. And hopefully, like, some of the things I've been through these tough times, I can use that to encourage and help others.
Yeah.
Because, somebody's going to go through something worse, obviously, or
Yeah.
We all our problems are the worst, we think to ourselves, but there's always someone else going through something. And so that's another reason why I don't broadcast it, because you're like, this happened to me. And then
Yeah.
somebody's like, well, that happened 10 times to me yesterday. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it would.
I stubbed my toe, got my foot amputated.
Yeah.
There's worse
and
out
then
there.
And the alligator, the doctor's trying to save my leg or whatever. Just right once off.
Yeah, I went like, oh man, next level. You went atomic on that one.
That's how I always feel, because when in the past, if I have complained about something,
Yeah.
there's always the like, well, my dog has cancer. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, you don't want to be that person. So my end is like, whatever I'm possibly going through, hopefully that can be something I can use to, for another situation, or helping or encouraging or something.
Yeah. It seems like you internalize the things that are going on in your life, and then you can have empathy for the next person down the road, or have a little bit more grace, and you can help people further and better because you've been through the things you've been through, and you've learned from them, and then you can love people on the way out.
That's one, since you mentioned it, I do wish more people would show empathy. I feel like empathy is like the last thing people show right now. And it bothers me, because I feel right now it's just a lot of hate, a lot of aggression out there. And if everybody would just take a few seconds, put their politics away, put their science away, or whatever they want, and just like take a second, especially for the ones they're mad at or hate at or complain about, just have a little empathy and just think about like, where are they in their life? What's going on with them? And is my politics, my science, my whatever I'm angry about more important than that?
Yeah.
I think that would change a lot of things, especially our community. And so that's been like an internal exercise for me too. It's just, you'll have that moment of negativity or complaint, but then to kind of like push that back down and like, what's going on over there? How can I be a little bit more sensitive to that?
Absolutely.
So that's my sermon for today.
Well, it sounds like you learned some good stuff this last year.
Yeah, man.
Even if you got your teeth kicked in a little bit, you're coming out better and a more humble and graceful person on the other side. So that's really cool.
Trying. Yeah.
And so what's something that you've learned or you've been learning in this last year that might be helpful to people listening out there?
Yeah. Like I said, it's been a year of a lot of fun things happening, within our family, moving into a new house and getting settled in. And, a big part of my story, and that I've been able to connect a lot with women with, on social media and, a community there is, as me and my husband, we've experienced 2 miscarriages, within the last couple of years. And within this past year, we've been blessed to experience our rainbow baby. And so that within this last year, I've just learned how there really is, joy to still look forward to, no matter what storms we're going through, no matter, what difficulties we're going to, there's always something to be thankful for.
Yeah.
And there's always something to look forward to. There's always something that, even if it's, even if we weren't to have gotten a rainbow baby, the Lord bless us with a beautiful house. And, I got to see my firstborn go through kindergarten and, things like that. So I just learned that, through life's difficulties, there's still things to be joyful for and to try and focus on and to try and concentrate on. And, even though it's okay to still, because I think I talked a little bit about some of this in the last episode, is that grief factor.
Yeah.
While there's room for that and there's space for that, I think that what I learned this last year is that there's still so much also to be joyful of and to choose to be joyful for. So
it's crazy. I just a few minutes ago recorded this episode with Bump, and your guys' answers are so similar.
Shut up. That's awesome.
His angle on it was like, you're going to go through those difficult seasons, but to take those in and to not just to harbor on them and to sulk in your grief, but you can learn something from it and then use that to be more gracious to the next person as well.
That's true. And I was talking to a friend about this, but for the parents out there, that's something that as we're learning these things as grown-ups now, trying to even teach our kids as we're raising them when it comes to, being upset about something and, or throwing a tantrum about something and being sad about something, telling them that it's okay to be sad about what you're sad about. And it's okay to grieve that for them, experience that sadness, but not to stay in that, not to like stay in that tantrum and that moment of, being upset. That, okay, let's try and, see what positive we can get out of this or what we can learn from this moment and how we can bless someone else, through even as, as we teach our kids that. So, yeah, I think it's a huge life. And that's awesome that Bump was kind of talking about that too.
Yeah, There's a crazy big world and there's a
Yeah.
lot of things you can learn, but it's fun seeing that
Yeah.
it's kind of what the whole podcast is about, that
Yeah.
maybe there's people out there
That's
who
yeah,
are
exactly.
experiencing very different things, but you can be learning the same thing from it.
Mhm.
And maybe you're a little bit like me.
That's right.
Oh
There
my
you
goodness
go.
gracious.
Wow.
We met.
Yep.
What's a lesson from this last year that you've learned that really is something that you're thinking about chewing on and you're really learning?
Yeah. The last time you asked this, the answer came immediately, and it's like happening again. And so for me, I think the thing that I'm learning is how much of like our lives in this walk, right, this journey is like an individual experience. So for a long time, like I beat myself up about what my journey looked like. Right. And so I was looking through it. I was looking at like my life through like this lens of like, Greg, like, why can't you ever stick to one thing? Or like, why is it that like you've got this idea and you do like 70% of it and then like you jump on this new thing, you're excited about it. And this past year, like I've accepted that like, Greg, that's just who you are. Like you get excited about many different things and you want to try all the things, and some of the things you complete and some of the things you just leave on the side with some of the tools still falling out of it. And that is okay. I know that I'm learning that now because my daughter Sarah is turning 6 in a couple weeks.
Oh,
and dude, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. She knows what a debit card is and Target, and I just don't want to talk about it. But one of my favorite things about the way that I found that I've lived my life in this, like try everything, do all the things kind of way is in the least cocky way to express this. I have such a wealth of knowledge and experience. Such a well of knowledge and experience that I get to give to her. And it's like, I'm the primary source. Like I am the like firsthand experience. Like, yeah, I can tell you how that goes. And like, here's a cool story to go along with it. And she is so inquisitive, as I'm sure your boys are. And like, when I don't know the answer to something, I love being like, hey, let's jump on Google or let's ask Siri. But my favorite response is when she asks questions is like, actually, yeah, daddy's done that before. And let me tell you about it. So
That's
like
cool.
One thing I'm kind of learning this year is like, Greg, do all the things and like teach your kids to do all the things if they want to. Like all it does is build up this huge like reservoir of things that you get to like, you know, re-experience or share with other people. And so like for some people, their journey might mean like, hey, pick a thing, stick to it and get really good at it. But like for me, man, like I'll be 34 this year and it's looking like I'm the guy that just tries all the things. So like
the thing that's fun too, and TikTok is a fantastic distraction for me, but at the same time too, you get to hear from so many different people, like as you're scrolling through your For You page. And so there's people out there who are just like you and they're trying all the things. And then there's people who they've just drilled in on their one thing and they are going to do that.
And they're experts. Absolutely.
And they're crushing it. But the thing that's so beautiful about life in the world is, number one, there's space for people like you and there's space for people like me and every other person who can't figure out what they want to do and they jump into a bunch of different things. But then also there's so many people who like you who are wondering, is there somebody else out there like me? And guess what? There's a whole podcast dedicated to that whole thought that maybe somewhere out there's somebody else out there like me who's just trying to figure this whole thing out. And so it's so fun. Dude, that was in our own
have
different
you been
ways.
Doing this for a year? Because that was smooth.
Something like that.
Really smooth.
Greg, thank you so much for doing this today, for being a part of this. Genuinely, I've said this to a bunch of people, but thank you for taking a chance on just trying this out with me. I remember being so nervous to ask you. I asked you at our friend Tara's house. I was like, hey, like, I think I asked your wife first. I was like, Lib, do you think he would do it? But like, it was one of those, like, I was just so nervous going into this whole thing. And you were so gracious and so encouraging and so excited to be on board and just on board with everything you'd want out of a guest. And then in that first episode, you were so kind and so fun. And a year later, I am still just so blown away and grateful for people like you who took a chance on me. So thank you, man.
No, I mean, it wasn't a huge gamble. Like I've said it before and I mean it, man. Like if there's anybody who could do this and who should be doing it, it's you, man. And I love getting to watch these interviews because I feel like you bring out the best in people. And I think that there's a whole host of people who would agree. So Thank you for including me and for like doing this thing for a year, man. That's huge. Congratulations. You made a baby.
That kind of sounds like it. Oh, did you say we made a baby? I don't like that. Oh, okay, good.
Every time we get together, it's just like something that happens in an interview. We're like, no. Last time it was something about showering.
Yeah, you said us showering together. No, we're not making babies, Greg. We're not making babies.
It happened.
We made a baby. We made a baby.
We had a baby. It's a boy. Oh my God.
And for all of you friends out there listening, I'm sorry for the last several minutes. And this, it almost sounds like this is like the retrospective. We're closing this whole thing down, but I'm really hoping we're just getting this whole shebang started, and it's going to be years and years down the line. And I keep making you come back on the podcast and talking about me making you eat pineapple before the podcast. So. I was like, I bought all this fruit. You need to eat it. I love you too, man.
And guacamole. If you bring guac, I'll be there for sure.
I got you, baby. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the early history of the podcast and for being a supporter this whole time. I could tell you listeners story after story after story of Bump finding me and being like, hey, have you met Steve Studebaker? I just made that name up, but have you met Steve? Steve's this awesome guy. He power lifted 8,000 pounds and he's the coolest guy. You'd love to have him on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, hook me up. And so a lot of the episodes you've heard have been because of people that support me like you. And so I just want to say thank you. And I'm so excited that we're here at a year, and I'm excited to see what's in the future for all of this. But I'm so grateful for people like you.
Oh, no problem, man.
Bump, thank you so much for being a part of this.
So it's like an investment into the podcast. Sending people.
Yeah, it's the best. Thank you so much, man.
Oh, man, happy birthday. Happy anniversary.
Happy birthday.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, man. Paola, I just wanted to say thank you, number one, for believing in me and
this podcast is awesome.
Taking a risk on an unknown podcast before it even started.
You might be inspiring other people to start up podcasts. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Should we be keeping our ears and eyes open?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, listen, if you're out there listening, just Google Paola McGarvey every day and
we'll see if it ever comes up.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Put a Google alert on and we'll make it happen. But I just want to thank you so much and for just even being a part of this at any level. And so thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
thank you, Mike. This is an Outcast podcast. The stuff that you as fun as you make it so important when it comes to connecting with other people on just a fun level. But on there's things that, are similar about us, and that, like you said, the differences. Because I think, anyways, when we're experiencing different things in life that are hard, we can all relate to, we all go through hard things. So just the example that we brought up today. So thank you for making a space for that. So,
thank you, friend.
Yeah.
And for all of you who have been listening for this last year, thank you so much for sticking with this and listening and
you stuck
sharing.
1 year.
And it's fun. And a year feels like a finality, but it's not. We're just getting started and we're going to keep having fun and talking to more people and finding out maybe a few more ways that we're all more alike than we ever knew before. And so,
all right.
Paola, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
You're the best. We did it. Part 2.